Hi, I'm Judy Lynn. So who do you think you are? Who do you really think you are? I bet if I asked each of my family and friends who they thought they were, they'd give me a complete different answer than I'd expect. Most likely, they wouldn't even come close, not even remotely close, to describing the person that I see them to be. Why? Because they're identifying themselves with what they consider to be their past failures and mistakes, and they sum themselves up with a laundry list of shortcomings. It's no wonder we live in a world of people who don't live up to their full potential. So many talented, amazing, loving people who beat themselves up daily because they see a loser. They see nothing special, only the excuse of a man or woman living in the pain of the past mistakes and failures. Maybe you even know of someone who has incredible potential and yet does nothing to fulfill it. Maybe you're like that. Maybe you're that person. I know I was at one point in my life. In his book, Creating Affluence, Deepak Chopra says, in reality, there's no such thing as failure. What we call failure is just a mechanism through which we can learn to do things right. Whether purposefully or not, we all make mistakes. We hurt others in some way, make unhealthy choices, or fail at something. And 99.9% of us feel like a piece of crud for it. The trouble comes when we identify ourselves with our actions. We use two of the most powerful words in the universe, I am, and follow it with some pretty ugly descriptions. We may have even grown to dislike or sometimes even downright hate ourselves. We feel disappointed, ashamed, embarrassed of who we are. We think we are less than good, all based on what we've done or didn't do, based on the so-called mistakes that we've made. It's really hard for us to let go of that dang past, isn't it? Most of us don't walk around wearing that badge of honor. No siree. We become expert magicians, keeping that little Pandora box deeply buried in the darkest corners of our minds. We didn't think of this crazy self-bashing idea all on our own, though. It's been hammered into us from the beginning of our life on this planet for generations within our societies, families, religions, schools, media, just about everywhere. For instance, if we were young and we heard a statement like, she didn't finish school, she's such a loser, what do you think happens to our psyche then if we end up not finishing school? What sort of label do you think we attach to ourselves? Now, we may consciously battle the labeling, but you can bet it's there. But here's the thing. We are not the sum of our actions. Our actions are an experience by which we can grow, learn, and evolve if we allow it. Beating ourselves up will throw us down that rabbit hole and will spin out of control until we don't even know who we are anymore. The truth is, if we never experienced pain or negativity, we would not know joy or be able to know or recognize the greatness around us. It's by one that the other is known so keenly. It's the contrast between the two experiences that gives each its intensity. One would be meaningless without the other. Think about it. How much would you appreciate the colors of a rainbow if you hadn't first experienced the rain? Here's what I know to be true. You are that beautiful soul that came into this world so many years ago, a loving, joyful, knowing, trusting self, and lived in the simplicity of that self for a short time. You didn't question who you were or judge your self-worth. You just were, and you knew it. You were comfortable in who you were. Soon, though, things began to change and judgment became the norm. Outside judgment and inside judgment. You are a bad girl, bad boy. That was a common reprimand when a child's action wasn't pleasing to the caregivers. Well, the action may have been bad, but that doesn't mean the child is bad. To believe otherwise is absolute destructive conditioning. It's time to make a huge shift and recognize that self, once again, the true self. This is a whole new way of thinking about things for most of us. I get it. So tapping can really help us move things along and shift into a new perception of ourselves. Let's just start with the eyebrow point, actually. I've really been holding this attachment and identifying myself with my past mistakes or with my job. Those past failures and mistakes aren't who I am. My job, the mistakes I've made, the failures that I call failures, do not define me. And I'm really seeing that now. Even though sometimes it feels like they do. I know I've called myself a few choice names from time to time. But I choose to shift now. Because I recognize the truth that I am none of those things. Everyone makes mistakes, and I'm no different. It's a way in which I learn, a way in which I grow. And I choose to love those mistakes for that reason. Shifting away from the hatred, the resentment, and those horrible feelings about myself. When I say I am, I choose a positive statement afterwards. I am love. I am joy. I came into this world that way. And I've allowed my surroundings and my environment to change that. I choose to reconnect with the truth of who I am and releasing the lies that I've held so dear and so close. Reconnecting with the truth of who I am to my very soul. When you say I am, follow it with an affirming statement. We can break through the hypnosis of social conditioning and experience health when our identity of who we are comes from reference to the self and not the actions. Thank you for joining me this week on the Monday Morning Shift. If you haven't already, I'd love to have you join us. Sign up at harmoniclivingnow.com and you'll also get a free tapping ebook, which you're going to love. If you have any questions, please leave your comments below. I'd love to hear what you think about today's topic. Until next week, you guys, go out there and make it your own.